Hi everyone, welcome to Travel Explore Celebrate Life. Thank you for tuning in. And today we are going to fly off to Europe. We are going to go to a destination that is one of the most popular destination amongst Indian travelers. You may have seen the title of the episode. It is Switzerland. And we are going to go to a unique town, a famous town, a very amazing town in Switzerland that is Interlaken. Now, many of you may have heard of Interlaken. Many of you may have seen photos on Instagram about Interlaken. Now, Sunila herself has gone to Switzerland more than 10 times, I'm sure. And at Veena World here, we call her one of the experts for Switzerland. Now, as the chief product officer, she comes up with many products that involve Switzerland and surrounds, that involve different countries in Europe. So we thought, why not discuss Interlaken? Because right now we are in the month of April, or we are just ending March whenever you listen to this episode. And during the months of April and May, Switzerland becomes like a country that has hundreds and thousands of Indian tourists. So we decided to go back to Switzerland and we decided to focus on one city, one town, that is Interlaken. Sunila, welcome to another episode of Travel Explore Celebrate Life. Now, you have been to Interlaken many times.
Mhm.
I've been there many times. But I think just one episode for Interlaken is what would do justice. So tell us a little bit about Interlaken. What is it? Why is it so famous? What is the attraction for Interlaken? Not only for Indian travelers, but for travelers from all over the
Mm.
world.
Yes, absolutely. Hi, everyone. And yes, Neil, Interlaken is a very, very special place. In fact, just the name itself, right? Let's start with the name, Interlaken. It just means in between two lakes. And can you just imagine? I mean, that name is enough to tell you how pretty and how special and how beautiful this place is. So, in between the lakes of Lake Brienz and Lake Thun stands Interlaken, the city, a small little town, I would say, and surrounded by all the Swiss Alps. So, there you have it. You have the waters of the lake, you have the mountains, you have the snow capped mountains, you have greenery all around you, and some of the best scenery that you would see in Switzerland. In fact, to borrow a phrase from Interlaken Tourism themselves, they say it's all of Switzerland in one place. And they like to call it not just the Interlaken town, but the entire holiday region. And I think that's the way we should look at it, because the town itself is small, but when you consider the entire holiday region of Interlaken around it, and also the Jungfrau ski region around it, you have between this wonderful place where any time of the year you go, you're always happy. You're always like admiring the natural beauty out there. In fact, Neil, I have a few people who travel with us regularly, some of our guests, and they love absolute luxury. And after going to Switzerland, they went back and stayed in Interlaken, I think three times, 3 consecutive years. And after that, in fact, one of them went back and did a lot of the smaller villages around. We'll talk about them later. And whenever they come to book their holidays, this is through our customized holidays division, they say, find me the Interlaken in this country. And I'm like, if you want to go to Interlaken, just go back to Switzerland. But what they're looking for is, no, is it like Interlaken? Like, okay, I'm going to New Zealand. Okay, is Queenstown like Interlaken? I'm going somewhere else. Can you find me an Interlaken here? So that should tell you how popular and how beautiful this place is.
Awesome. Now, if we like, go back a few decades, we
Hmm.
go to the 1990s, Switzerland was probably the first European country to become
Hmm.
super famous amongst Indian
Yeah.
travelers. I'm saying
Hmm.
all countries are famous
Yeah.
in their own right, right?
Right.
Australia is famous for certain things, Japan is famous for certain things.
Hmm.
Like that, most countries of Europe are also famous.
Hmm.
Now, Switzerland became famous due to a Bollywood connection.
Yeah.
And over the years,
Hmm.
Switzerland and Interlaken have
Hmm.
had this Bollywood connection act
Hmm.
as, I don't know, like a massive motivator for people to think about s-
Yes.
Bollywood. And every time you
Yeah.
think about Bollywood in Europe, you tend to associate it with Switzerland. So, what is this Bollywood connection? Some of our listeners may already know the Bollywood connection, but if you
Hmm.
can throw more light on it, because it's not just one single movie that did it, but it was actually a collection of feelings, a collection of
Hmm.
ideas that made Interlaken and Bollywood linked,
Hmm.
I guess, for decades or for centuries
Yes.
from here on
Yes.
also.
Yes, Neil, because I think we associate Bollywood and Switzerland a lot, and I think the most popular film, of course, was Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, which kind of ran for so long in the theaters, but it brought Switzerland out to us. But even before that, like let's go back to the time even before I was born, and that is in the 1960s, like 1964. Raj Kapoor and was probably one of the first ones to go there, and Yash Chopra, our director, who was really, really smitten by Interlaken, I would say. And the love affair between Bollywood and Interlaken and Switzerland has been going on since then. So it's like over 50, 60 years now that we've seen, Switzerland in all our movies. And a lot of times, earlier, well, they used to use Kashmir and call it Switzerland, but around the
Hmm.
60s, they actually really started filming there. And it was quite a novel idea to see our lead actresses clad in saris and running around the snow-capped mountains, or just basically to base a story out there. And that's
Yeah.
how it all started. The connection today when you go to Interlaken, and in fact, for Switzerland tourism, Ranveer Singh was the ambassador for, bringing out the best of Switzerland for India. And now it's Neeraj Chopra. Of course, we've gone to sports now. But coming back to films, I think some of the best scenes and the best locales that we've seen, which make film watching, like viewing the film so pleasant, because the background was always Switzerland. And
Yeah.
as a result, today when you're walking around, like in fact in Interlaken, when you go and in and around the area of Sadan, you can actually do a whole Bollywood tour of the whole area to go and see where was this movie shot, where was this song picturized, where did Shah Rukh and Kajol stand, which areas were they in. So you can do all of that. And in Interlaken, when you go to the casino area, very close to the famous Victoria Jungfrau and Spa, it's called Kursal, the casino area. You will see the statue of Yash Chopra ji out there with his, camera and everything. And it's quite nice. There's a nice bronze statue. I've also gone there and stood there, and it just makes you feel so happy and proud to see the Indian Connect out there. Also at the Victoria Jungfrau Spa and Resort, which is the most popular and the most luxurious hotel in Interlaken, they have a suite named after him. So you have the Yash Chopra suite. So you can actually go and stay in the Yash Chopra suite. And they say that even a train is named after him and even a lake is named after him. So the connection is pretty strong. And I think it'll only be stronger and stronger.
Awesome. Now let's come to the main point. What do you
Mm-hmm.
really do in Interlaken? Because,
Mm-hmm.
often when you think about
Mm-hmm.
Switzerland, a rather small country as compared to India, but there's multiple things
Mm-hmm.
that you can do. There are multiple attractions. So
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, like, what is there to really do in Interlaken? You can probably talk about attractions, you can talk about different
Mm-hmm.
things, but what comes to your mind when we think about this?
So I think, Neil, with, again, whenever I'm saying Interlaken, I mean the whole region, right? So with the
Yeah.
Interlaken region, I would like to kind of say that you can be on the water or you can be
Hmm.
in the mountains, and you can just sit there and do nothing, and time will still pass so beautifully that you can have a real holiday. Even if you don't want to do anything, you just want to go and walk on the pretty streets and buy small souvenirs. It is still a really pretty town. But let's start with the lakes. So you have Lake Thun and Lake Brienz. And I don't know, many people may not know, but Lake Brienz has turquoise water and Lake Thun has the more deeper blue water. And why
Hmm.
Lake Brienz gets this special color is because of the glacier that drains into it. So pieces of the glacier keep falling into Lake Brienz. And especially now, like all our guests who will travel now in springtime will really see the color of this water, because after winter, the glacier starts melting, and then, these glacial particles enter the water, and it gives this color a really beautiful blue. So anything and everything that you can do on water, think of it, and you can do here. So from boat trips to jet skis, if you want to be more active, then stand-up paddle boarding, anything and everything can be done in and around the lakes, or just gentle boat rides and all of that. Of course, the main attractions, if you would call them, are the mountains, and the Jungfrau region
Hmm.
is probably the best region out here to experience. So we have Jungfrau, also known as top of Europe, which should be your number one thing to do out there. You can experience it by a cogwheel train, which still runs on the old technology that was made. And now they have the new, Eiger Express, the gondola that takes you up there. And I've done it. I went like when it was just inaugurated, and it was really stunning. So they also have this really cool VIP gondola. And in that, all the seats are red. You can have
Hmm.
champagne, and the seats rotate so you can have a whole view wherever you go. You can even have a small conference in there for 30 minutes and go up when you're going up there. They have a special room as well before you go up. And then on top of Europe, you can enjoy the glacier. You can go out on the glacier. There is the ice cave or the ice palace. Everyone knows you can post a postcard from there. So I would say Jungfrau is, of course, the number one attraction out there. But along with that, there are other places. So there's Hadakum. Hadakum is also a really pretty mountain. And I would say go to Jungfrau. If you have just one day, then go to Jungfrau in
Yeah.
the morning, spend your time till there, and in the evening head to Hadakum because the sunsets are really amazing. And you can have some nice food on top of the mountain there, especially if you're on a romantic holiday or you're celebrating something special or a celebration. It's very, very pretty. Close by, of course, is the James Bond Mountain, as it is called, the Shilthorn.
Hmm.
And again, you can take the cable car up and go. But while you're going up, and they have the revolving restaurant out there. So on Shilthorn, you have the revolving restaurant and the view of all the mountains from there. So really stunning. So three major peaks in the Interlaken region, Eiger, Monk, and Jungfrau. And from different places, you get different views of this place, of the mountains from here. So when you're going up Shilthorn, do take a halt at Murin because it is a car-free village. And to walk in a village which is car-free, there are quite a few in Switzerland like that. Zermatt is another one. So it's really nice to be able to not worry about any car coming from anywhere. Let the kids run on the road. Everything that you would say don't do, you can do out here. So it's really quite pretty, and definitely that is something you should think of doing there. Shinige Plateau is another one where you can go up the mountain, and lots of hikes start from here. Close to Interlaken and in the region, and I will include it here, is Grindelwald. And in
Hmm.
Grindelwald, again, you can start. It's one of the smallest, prettiest train stations that I have ever seen. Really tiny. And when you stand there, you can look at all the mountains around. And one attraction I love in Grindelwald is the Fürst. It's pronounced, written as first, pronounced as Fürst. And once you're on top of the mountain, I think it really it resonates with the younger crowd because you have a beautiful zip line that you can do from here. You can go up, and the restaurant up there is really amazing. You have this cliff walk that you can do out there. And then you can even be suspended like an eagle and fly up. They take you up and then they drop you from there. So a lot of things to do at Fierce Flyer. And Grindelwald again is excellent for skiing, and it has its own glaciers. So a lot of mountain excursions, and yes, you can be on the water. So lots of things to do: trains, cable cars, cogwheels, a lot of things.
Okay, so let's go back. Okay, let's
Uh-huh.
list down a few things that you can do from here. So
Yes.
when you go
Sorry, Sam,
up,
I get excited with
yeah,
Switzerland and
exactly.
sometimes I
Like,
go too fast.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, I'm just like one thing I want to bring
Hmm.
to this episode is that there are multiple things that you can do sitting here. And of
True.
course, we over the last 5 minutes, you told us a whole bucket of
Hmm.
list of
Yeah.
things that you do. I want to list down 10 at least. So when you go
Yes.
up Jungfrau, which is the top
Yeah.
of Europe, you
Yeah.
mentioned that you can take the cable car or you can
Hmm.
have the cogwheel train experience,
That's
right?
right. And you can have
Once you
both.
correct. Once you
Yeah.
went, once you go up Jungfrau, there
Hmm.
is the ice palace you mentioned,
That's right.
right?
That's
Then you
right.
can go to the observation
And
deck.
Neil, one thing I want to
Uh,
add there at the Ice Palace, there are these
hmm.
ice sculptures out there. As a tip, be really careful when you walk because you're so excited. And generally, as a tip, when you go up Jungfrau, take your time. Like, don't start going and exploring everything immediately because you are at 11,332 feet. So you're
Yeah.
going up that quickly. And you need to just acclimatize a little, have a coffee if you want, rest, relax a little for 5 minutes, get your bearings, and then start going out. Because I've seen a lot of people fall in the ice palace too, and you can get hurt pretty badly if you fall there. But it's very easy and simple. You just have to hold on to the railings and go. And very pretty sculptures. So just be careful when you start exploring Jungfrau.
Nice. So that is Jungfrau.
Mhm.
Then when we talk
And
about
you also
Grin,
have the Sphinx Terrace out there. Don't forget the Sphinx
yes.
Terrace. You know, the Sunny Deol movie hero, I think he jumps from there, right? So
Yeah,
that
like
again is the
towards the end
connection.
of the movie,
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes. So
Hmm.
that is also out there. And yes, the Indian restaurant Bollywood, I can't forget that.
Yeah, that is always there.
Also out there,
Okay, so
yes.
that is Jungfrau. Then
Mm-hmm.
there is the James Bond mountain that is known,
Shilthorn.
well, famously known as the James Bond mountain
Yeah.
because the 1969 James Bond movie on Her Majesty's Secret Service was
Secret
actually
Service.
filmed there, and many scenes
Yeah.
were filmed there. So that's there. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the reason I'm listing these down is because there is a common misconception that you go up a mountain, you'll probably have a viewing deck, and that's all. But
Mm-hmm.
what has happened is that across all of these Swiss Alps, they
Mm-hmm.
have built these different attractions, and that's one of the coolest things that you
Yes.
can really do there. Now, you mentioned Grindelwald. And
Mm-hmm.
Grindelwald, of course, you can have the cable car experience, but along with that, you mentioned the Grindelwald Fierst. It's written
Yes.
as first, but it's the Fierst,
Yeah.
which is just
Yeah.
like you sitting on an open air thing and it brings you down,
First
right?
is the mountain, the
Okay.
mountain on top, and
Mm-hmm.
first flyer is the zip line.
Ah,
So
okay.
you're like in the harness and then you go down. It's amazing. Yeah.
Now, I know we are talking about Interlaken and surrounds, but a quick
Mm-hmm.
question over here. If you
Yeah.
remember the movie Bachna Hai Hasino, in that
Yes.
Ranbir Kapoor and the actress,
Mm-hmm.
they come down this sort of river roller coaster, sorry, mountain
Yeah.
roller coaster or
Mountain
something
roller
like that.
coaster. Yeah.
Where was
Yeah.
that?
So that is at Glacier 3000, which is closer to Stad or
Hmm.
more
Yeah.
towards the Geneva Lake region.
Hmm.
And the region of Stad has the Alpine, has Glacier 3000 as the mountain. And one of the attractions there is this Alpine roller coaster. It's one of the few open air Alpine roller coasters. Of course,
Hmm.
it's weather dependent, but when it's running, it's amazing because you are just in the snow and you're going down this open air roller coaster. Having said that, there are a lot of toboggan runs that you see in Switzerland all across, and also
Hmm.
you'll find it in different regions. And these are like steel tubes that are put, installed on the mountains, and then you're sitting in a little cart and you go down, which is a lot of fun with the kids. So that is
Okay.
also something that you can think of when you're planning a Switzerland trip. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned that go to Jungfrau in the morning and you could probably
Mm-hmm.
make a trip to Heideklum also.
Hardakum. Yes.
Heideklum,
Hardakum. Yeah.
Hardakum in the afternoon, right?
Interesting.
Now, the
Yes.
sunset is pretty good over there. And you
Yeah.
made a slight mention of the food also. So, I
Yes.
wanted to ask you, what are
Mm-hmm.
three things that come to your mind apart from Swiss chocolate that, one should definitely have when they are in Switzerland?
Mm-hmm.
Like anything comes to your mind?
So, two things that quickly spring up, of course, are rosti and raclette, and the third
Okay.
one would be fondue. So
Okay.
three things actually, which are pretty really popular. In fact, whenever we have our meetings with the Switzerland consulate in Mumbai, and he's very gracious to host this in his house, there's always we always look forward to having the raclette because he makes it a point that we have a Swiss raclette. Let's look at each one. Rosti is something I think all Indians generally love because it's like potatoes that are roasted and it's very, very, very tasty. And especially when you're standing on top of the mountain in the cold to have this hot rosti, it's amazing. So it's like instead of fries, ditch the fries in Switzerland, try and have rosti instead. It's potatoes at the end of the day. So it's really nice. It's always served hot, which is good. And you can enjoy a good rosti. A raclette is basically cheese, which is, in a pan. The cheese is put in, and along with that, there are some vegetables like baby carrots and pickles and pickled onions and other green vegetables and stuff. And then you can mix it up. Of course, you can have it with meat as well. And then you have fondue. So Swiss fondue is quite popular. Swiss fondue, again, they put in cheese into a vessel. They have a special fondue vessel. It's always heated and the cheese is melting, and then you can have pieces of bread, pieces of vegetable, pieces of meat, and then you have these long fondue sticks. So you put the fondue fork or the stick into the bread or the vegetable or meat, dip it into the cheese, coat it nicely with the melting cheese, and enjoy your fondue. So um, yeah, three things I think that you should definitely try. And in fact, if you want to try the fondue meal, then in and around Interlaken, you can actually go on a raft in the evening and you can do a night rafting with a fondue meal,
Oh,
which is
wow.
so stunning, so stunning. So that is again something that you can look forward to. But yeah, these are three meals that I would say definitely try in
Yeah,
Switzerland.
because I didn't want to mention the Swiss chocolate here because everyone talks about it, everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
So these are three
But I would
things. So,
still like squeeze in one word about the chocolate,
okay,
because we are
go
speaking of
for it.
Interlaken region. So instead of just going and buying the Swiss chocolate, you get it everywhere. Try making it. And in Interlaken, you have some chocolate clubs that actually teach you how to make chocolate. And it was a lot of fun. I've done it, and it is a lot of fun because they have this little workshop and they teach you everything from how chocolate comes from the cocoa bean and why the Swiss like it, and they are probably the most consumed, chocolate is consumed in Switzerland, the maximum, right? The country that eats so much chocolate. And the key to that, the key to good chocolate in Switzerland really comes down to the weather and the grass, because the cows are feeding on it and the milk is of a better quality, and that's how the chocolate becomes so amazing. So you add good cocoa and chocolate milk and you have this chocolate, but you can learn how to make it, and you can come back with a piece of chocolate that you have made with ingredients you want. So I think that's quite special in Interlaken.
I think that's a pretty good thing because you've worked
Yeah.
for it, you've made it, and you've brought that for
Yes.
your friends and
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think these are the
Mhm.
experiences that really,
Hmm.
we call it make you celebrate life. Now,
Yes.
we've done all of this. Do you think
Mhm.
we've missed out on any adventure activities that you haven't mentioned or
Hmm.
something like that? Because I know there is
Yes.
hiking and all of that.
Correct. So, hiking, of course, you can hike anywhere in Interlaken. And I think that is why it is so popular, because it's like the home of outdoor activities of Switzerland, all in one place. And again, Neil, depending on the weather, activities can change. So when we are looking at outdoor, you can have like completely adrenaline pumping activities from bungee to canyoning. Canyoning is amazing out there. Rafting, of course. You can do skydiving. So you
Mhm.
can do extreme sports, but you can also do some of the gentler sports. So rafting, I mentioned, you can always do. There's jet skiing, there is water sports, there is paragliding. And paragliding in Interlaken is really nice. It's a lot of fun because when you're landing into this big, piece of grass right in front of the Victoria Jungfrau Hotel. So you are actually landing into the city center. So it's not like you're going somewhere else. They do take you up the mountain and then you come in there. So it is very, very, very special and you can enjoy the ride. I think that makes it really special. Also, to kind of compare the winter and summer, activities change drastically, because when in summer you're hiking, you can be skiing in winter. So there are so many ski slopes around. But I want to mention one activity. I don't know if you've done it, Neil. I'm sure you must have, but have you gone snowshoeing? Um,
Nope, never.
that
I've
is
done
one
ice
I
climbing,
would.
I've done skiing, but not snowshoeing.
Yeah, so it's so much fun because it's really quite gentle. I've actually done it in France, but you can do it in Interlaken everywhere. And I would recommend that for everyone who wants to try their hand at some winter activity, but don't want to do something extreme like skiing, because you really need to invest time into that. You don't need to learn snowshoeing. You just basically it's walking. And because the snow is so powder soft, it gives you that fun of walking like on clouds, so it's
Yeah.
amazing, and it's usually done at night. You can also go sledding, so you have the sled and then you can add a Swiss fondue to it by night. So again, winter activities can be a lot of fun. You can go kite surfing on the frozen lake. snowshoeing, I mentioned, skiing, sledding. So all of that can be done. And then summer, winter, Via Ferrata. Via Ferrata is again one more thing that you'll see all across Interlaken and the region, where you are tied to the mountain, and then you actually do a lot which you think you can't do. It looks too difficult, but you can do it. And it's a great place for team activities. So whether you're from
Mhm.
school, college, or something, or you're looking for even like incentive tools for who want to be a little more active for a corporate, it's amazing. The kind of team activities you can build up in Interlaken are really cool.
Awesome. Well, we've spoken a lot. Let me ask
Mm-hmm.
you this question. How is Interlaken in the winters and how is it in the summers? I'm sure it's not the same because earlier
Mm-hmm.
people from India used to travel only during the summer vacations.
Yes.
Now we are seeing people travel all through the year. And
Mm-hmm.
last year was when even Veena World travelers, the number of Veena World travelers were at their highest when during the winters in Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
So, how are the summers? How are the winters? What can one expect?
So completely different. And again, like how we say Kashmir is a, all year round destination, the same holds true for Interlaken. If you can, go and visit it in all the four seasons, summer, winter, spring, autumn, because things change a lot. I've been fortunate enough to visit Interlaken in the peak of winter, in December, in March, and then also in summer and in spring. So I've seen all the faces of Interlaken. What I really liked in summer, of course, it's very, very, very popular. So it is going to be quite crowded.
Mhm.
Lot that you can do. You don't need to carry so many winter clothes, and you can enjoy all the activities by the water. So in fact, you can actually just go swimming in the lake and you can drink the water. The water is so pure in all of Switzerland, and especially in Interlaken, that this is one place where you can be on the lake, you can go boating, you can swim in the lake, and you can also just drink the water straight up. It's that clean and pure. So that's summer, and then it's pretty because there are flowers everywhere. The weather is nice. The days are really long, so there are a lot of things that you can do till later in the evening. So that's summer. But if you're going in the winter, and I would strongly recommend going in the winter, because for the first time and on top of Jungfrau in December, I felt like I had the place to myself. So there were a few small groups, but it was so peaceful, serene, and beautiful that I actually saw the glacier, the Alish Glacier, so nicely. And I enjoyed that trip in December. So it was just stunning. When I went back in around March, what was nice was that's when I experienced the Eiger Express. And as I was going up, they actually had music festival out there. So they have a lot of music fest in and around Grindelwald, Lake Thun, Lake Brienz, and along the river as well, the Ari Festival. And they have music, dance. And there are separate ones in winter, summer, spring, autumn. They are celebrating all the time. So it's quite stunning. So winters were beautiful because then you can try your hand at skiing. Like you don't have to do 7 days. You can even do like a 1 or a 2 day, or a few hours just with a ski instructor, and at least get a feel of what it feels like, what we've seen in the movies, what is skiing all about. You can go snowshoeing. So you're experiencing a lot of things that otherwise you don't get to do. And the entire place just looks magical with snow all around. It's really quite stunning.
Awesome. Now, to end the
Also,
episode,
sorry, we also have the Christmas markets in Interlaken. I think I can go on for another hour, but to cut it short,
The mulled wine
yes,
and the
the mulled
Christmas market.
wine, the Christmas market. So don't forget that. Yes.
Awesome. Now, I wanted to end it with a travel
Mm-hmm.
tip. I want to ask you,
Right.
how should one pack their bag for Switzerland? Because
Mm-hmm.
often people make the mistake of wearing jeans or denims to the snow.
Mm-hmm.
And one of
Right.
the biggest problems with that is if you sit in the snow with your jeans on
Mm-hmm.
or denims
Mm-hmm.
on, they get wet. And
Right.
because of that, your day can be ruined. So,
Right.
how would you pack your suitcase for a trip to Switzerland, whether it's in the summers or in the winters? Any tips that you'd like to share?
Sure. So you mentioned the snow, and if you're going to be active out there, and you will be, jeans are not the best thing. Even if they are your stretch jeans or jeggings or whatever, it doesn't work. I think a nicer thing to do is to carry something in dry fit material, which is even light. So it's hardly adds on to the weight. And it's quite easy to get all of this today. Like there are so many shops that sell that. So have something that is dry fit, like hiking pants or, anything that is made in the dry fit material. And if you think you're going to be cold, then just add a thermal or a jegging inside, and then you're warm enough. Like I think layering up is really the key and really the trick. So I would say put in one jacket, whether it's summer, even in summer, we can feel cold, and especially when you go up. And now you have these lightweight jackets which fold up really small. So you can put that in one corner of your bag. If you're in winter, obviously you'll need much more of the heavy winter clothing. But again, layering one on top of the other, like have something that's half sleeves and that's full sleeves. I find that easy because weather today is quite unpredictable and can change. But if you have enough thermal layers, then you can take everything. And I've mentioned this before, but I'll just repeat that in winter, especially cover your head, cover your ears, and cover your feet. So have some socks. You even get these small mittens, like ear things that you can
Yes.
put just over the ear or on the band, or a good cap, and you're fine. So once you have these things covered and the thermal, you're actually quite good. And all of this now can be in quite lightweight material. So be careful of the material when you're choosing. So if there's something that is wool, made out of wool, even the thermals can be made out of wool rather than polyester. It
Mm-hmm.
is warmer, so you will be warmer. So it depends on how cold you feel as a person. So that
Yeah.
would really help you plan. Throw in, like, maybe you don't really need too many formal clothes, but if you're celebrating something special, because there are a lot of places in Switzerland that will give you this option, then put in a nice dress or a nice suit or something if you want to. Otherwise, you can be pretty casual otherwise. And I find nowadays that with jeans, even just one is enough for a 7-day trip, like maybe two. Otherwise, you have your other lighter material, chinos and dry fits, which are nicer when traveling.
Yeah. Awesome. Sunila, you think we've missed out on anything? I mean, all of
Um,
Switzerland is still left, but if you had to leave
yes.
us with one more thought, what would that be?
I think I would mention something I mentioned sometime back, which is the villages in and around Interlaken. So what happens is we all just focus on Interlaken, and very often it's a small place. So there are not so many hotels out there. And if you cannot really decide in way in advance, then you may feel a little disappointed that I'm not getting accommodation where I want. But don't forget that there are many, many, many smaller towns, and it's really well connected. So you could be in Wengen, you could be in Murin, you could be in a smaller place called Iseltwald, which is actually really popular with the Koreans because Crash Landing on You was shot there. But there are these smaller towns in and around Lake Thun, Lake Brienz. They have some castle hotels, they have hotels by the lake, they have wellness hotels. So you could stay in any one of these. In fact, Bonn is just 1 hour from Interlaken. So, as a last resort, when you don't get anything, or even as a new thought, you could stay in Bern, come visit Interlaken and go there as well if you don't get that. But if you really want to stay in Interlaken, make sure you book really early.
Awesome. I guess that was our take on Interlaken.
Mhm.
Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Sunila, thanks for the beautiful introduction, deep dive into Interlaken, because I think we recorded this episode for about 25 to 30 minutes. I spoke
Yes.
for maybe 2 minutes. You spoke for the rest of the 95% of the episode. But
Mhm.
that's what we
Mhm.
want. And I think
Mhm.
our listeners would have got a lot on Interlaken because it may just be a dot on the map, but what it really
Yes.
gives you is memories of a lifetime. So thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. We will see you next week with another fun episode. Until then, as we always say at Veena World, keep celebrating life. Bye.
Bye.